Okay, the crew's told me that we're live. Dude, are you on like some type of drugs, like for real? Like, bro, like it's so philosophical and like, fuck, man, like I'm just wanting to chill and watch some.
We got pretty beat up hard last year.
Okay, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a mortgage professional.
I called him on the phone because I was just trying to book appointments for myself. And he goes, hey, you sound like you're a young guy. Do you want to hang out? Fast forward 3-4 months later, he bought a property off of us.
When you come on Thursdays, game one.
Because we all get to decide.
The business, the way to shoot the video.
Okay, the crew's told me that we're live. Welcome to everybody watching live on Twitch. Maybe you're watching the recording, though, while you're taking a drive or maybe taking your dog for a walk. Welcome to the Jas Takhar podcast. I got my boy. You guys have seen this guy before, and some of you have said to me, well, I want to see him again, and I want to see him again. So I'm not sure, but the team and I are talking behind the scenes and saying, do we make this gentleman, this beautiful, beautiful specimen known as Luke Leasing, maybe a co-host or someone that helps with just bringing some content to the table? If you do like that idea, let me know in the comments. Shoot me an email. What's going on, Luker?
Not much, brother. How are things with you?
Good, brother.
8% of the year's done, so you lit a fire under
Whoa, hang on 1 second. You just kind of glossed over that, brother. 8% of the year is over. Where'd you get this from?
I got that from you.
Okay.
You said that this morning.
Why is that even important to you?
Well, you told me, yeah, you don't have enough money in your bank account right now. So just so you know, you're 8% through the year. So get on top of it. That's pretty much what you told me.
Well, look, I think it's important, right? Like, because of the fact that we're second day of February at the time of this recording, and most people have probably dropped off in terms of their New Year's resolutions. It's okay. I think there was like a day on January 16th or 17th that's like National Drop Your Resolution or something, or quitting your resolutions or something along that lines. And now that we're in February, and why I mentioned to you, like, we're at 8% complete for the year, like this shit's gonna go by really quickly. I know we just all went through that reflection time that most of us go through anyways. I did anyways during the holiday time, because I'm not in my regular routine, you know, like that December 20th to the maybe the 2nd or 3rd of January. And so I'm in my own thoughts, and it's a great time, right? You get to spend it with your family. But during that reflection time is where I thought, like, shit, next year this time, which is going to come really quickly, I want to make sure that I'm not mad at myself for the results I didn't get, for the work I didn't do.
I was actually going to ask you that. How did you feel going into the new year? Like, emotion-wise, because we're all in that phase where we're kind of thinking about the previous year and what we're going to do next. Like, you know that feeling you get? Like, how were you feeling during that first few days?
Well, I was pumped, like I always am. And people ask me a lot about, and like, there's no exaggeration here. The team asks me, people on social ask me, like, dude, are you on like some type of drugs, like for real? Like, how much coffee do you drink? Where does the energy come from? To answer your question and to answer that question, gratefulness. Like, I got 2 young boys, 10-year-old and 8-year-old. Wife that her and I have been together, dating, married, all that kind of stuff, like north of 20 years. I got still healthy parents. I got brothers. Like, I can really take the time. I don't even need to take that much time to go into gratefulness quite quickly. You know, I think what most people need to do is just spend 30 seconds and ask yourself this question. How much time do you spend thinking about the stuff that you don't have compared to the stuff that you do have? Right? Like, really sit there and ask yourself that question. Like, okay, man, I probably spend 80% more time on the stuff that I wish I had, and I don't spend any time thinking about the stuff that I have. The problem with that is that there's this law, like gravity. It always does its thing. It's known as the law of vibration. Some people have heard it as the law of attraction, but it's really the law of vibration. Whatever you think about, you will attract more of it. And I know some people are like, bro, like, it's so philosophical, and like, fuck, man, like, I'm just wanting to chill and watch some live and relax, but it's at work no matter what.
Yeah.
if you believe in the law of gravity or not, it's going to do its thing. And so if you're thinking about the stuff that you don't have, the law of vibration says and does and gives you more of what you don't have.
Yeah.
Lack thereof, because you're in a mindset of lack thereof. On the flip side, going into the year, I'm always just in thankful mode. Like, I don't know if it was the DNA from my mom and dad. I never really have never, even when I was a child, like I never thought about what all the other kids had. I was kind of in my own world in that sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why I get so much more.
Yeah.
Because going into this year, it was all about, holy shit, man, put my personal stuff that I just spoke about, like my private life, from a business perspective, it was like, I got the best team in the world. Not everyone's pumping at all cylinders at all times. Neither am I.
Yeah.
But wow, I got a pretty cool team. Like, this is awesome. So that's the 2nd or 3rd day of January. Fast forward to exactly 30 days from that time. We as a crew, including you, and like you're a huge part in this, that team, okay? And I split my teams into kind of two, meaning I got my content team and then I got my sales team, okay? So let's start with the content team for a second. We had a trip to New York.
Nice.
Went there for 4 or 5 days, okay? The boys behind the camera, Clyde and Bo, were with myself and business partner / VP in another company, Laura. You guys know Laura Stewart. Went to New York. We both had a talk, went on stage. In total, there was like attendance of 3,000 people.
Wow.
We got amazing content, like content that we've never got before.
Wow.
A lot of it of Laura eating food, because that's our fucking thing, I guess. But just cool shots. I got to really spend and get to know Clyde and Bo. Like, they've been with me now for coming up to 60 days, I think Clyde reminded me a couple of hours ago. But I got to really know them. Because when you break bread with somebody,
Yeah, right.
like look at mine and your relationship, right? Luke, like we've now been together for 4 or 5 years? We're coming up to about
4 years.
4 years? Okay. How much food have we eaten together? How much time have we spent together? Obviously, me and you are even closer than what Bo and Clyde and I are. But we got amazing content from the stage, like me in my element. Like, I'm a pig in you-know-what when I'm on stage. So, content. Now from a sales perspective, okay? Because I spent a lot of time going in end of 2023 during that reflection time. I already had the vision. We just didn't start it. I had the people that we were going to put together. In 27 days, okay, we have booked, and this was the target was to book more appointments in 2024. That's it.
Right.
And we'll talk about salespeople. I think one of the articles, and if you're just joining us, by the way, live on Twitch, live on YouTube, and the crew says maybe we're even live on Insta as well, or if you're watching the recording, I got a bunch of stories and headlines that we're going to go over and kind of dive into it, get your thoughts, get my thoughts. One of them is talking about salespeople and being a better salesperson. For me, being in this industry of sales for 30 years, yeah, we want to do more deals. Obviously, that's what you're in the business for. But the habit that you want to create, the metric that you want to track and measure, for me has always been appointments. How many people are you having an actual, use whatever word now, consultation, appointment, interview, like a buyer interview, seller interview, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Because as long as you have those, the numbers will always fall into place in terms of your closing ratio. So you meet with 50 people, you're going to figure it out over time that you close 10% of it. So that's 5 deals. And if you want to get better, if you do more appointments, all you have to do to get a better result is do more appointments. Because if you do 60 appointments the next month and you still stay with the same closing ratio, well, that's 6 deals.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So last 27 days, we booked 247 appointments as of today.
Yeah, and the goal was 800 for the entire year.
For the entire year.
Yeah.
To put that into perspective, last year, for the full year, we did 550.
So we're halfway there.
We're halfway there
in 1 month.
in 1 month.
Yeah.
So to give you that long-winded answer, brother, it's my podcast, and
It's your podcast.
I can go as long as I want.
You're the main character.
No, you're the main character.
You're the main
today.
character.
Going into the year, it was all about bringing more of what I wanted. And so I really hope people understand. You might be watching a 30-second clip right now of this. It might be, again, you're watching the full episode, you're listening while you're driving. Your thoughts become your actions, which will then determine your results. And the truth is, even before your thoughts, it actually starts with the words that you're saying to yourself. So be very, very careful with the words you say to yourself, because those become your thoughts, which then become your actions, which then give you your results. Do you know why it's called spelling?
Why is it called
Because
spelling?
the words cast a spell.
Damn.
You get what I'm saying?
Where are we going with this
Well-
podcast? I got a list of topics that we were going to
We're-
talk
we're
about.
gonna hit that all up.
No, forget that. Go deep on that one.
Well, the words you say to yourself, if you say to yourself, I'm an idiot, I can never get anything right, I'm always failing, I can't find a partner, I can't do good in business, I'm not a good basketball player, I always quit.
Whatever it is.
That's the words you're saying to yourself. And so then the brain is going to look for all the reasons to make sure that's what you get more of. Because see, the brain doesn't even know what the difference between good or bad. The law of vibration has no clue. It just gives you more of. So the words you're saying to yourself, that fucking person that is speaking to you all day long, right? Like even while I'm speaking out loud, there's still that person in my brain speaking, right? You're doing it. You're listening, but there's a reason that the brain can only retain about 10% to 20% of what it hears for the first time. It's because you're also talking to yourself. So every time you're driving by yourself, every time you're in the shower, when you're just going for a walk by yourself, that person who's jibber-jabbering all fucking day long, I think it's a great idea if you get that person to speak positive to you, yourself. So be very careful, because the words you say to yourself will cast a spell. Now, the spell doesn't have to be bad. I know, like spell, we think of maybe, I don't know, maybe you think of a witch or some shit
Harry
like that.
Potter.
Oh, you think, well, there you go. Harry Potter, he did a lot of good shit. You could also, I don't remember
The movies and stuff like that.
I don't know the other guy's names and stuff like that. They're all,
Ron Weasley, I think it was.
yeah. If my boys are watching this, they're going to be really upset at me because
Yeah.
it's always on in the background. Anyways, you could do negative shit,
Yeah.
right? But you could also do positive. So again, brother, the words are huge. They're important. I'm gonna go over some of the stories that we have, and then you tell me where you kind of want to start.
Go.
But actually, even before that, let me flip it on you, man. What have you seen that you are proud of for the last 30 days? Okay, forget 2023. That shit's in the past. We can't change it, right? What has made you proud from a business perspective, because you've been with me for 4 years? Not about me, about what is happening with the crew. And then what are you looking forward to in this month? Not the rest of the year, in this month.
I think the biggest thing that I would say I'm proud of is the attitude that everybody came with going into this year. Tyler, Jesse, Laura, Jas, Simos, everybody on the team, especially the core salespeople, we got pretty beat up hard last year. Now, to the average person, what we ended up doing is still more in terms of an income perspective, more than the average person, which is why we're still extremely grateful, because the amount of hours and the amount of work that we put into these things allows for us to see those type of results. But in terms of what we've seen in previous years, it wasn't as good. So I think to a certain extent, we felt a little bit beat up knowing that even though we were doing better than what the average person did in our industry, we still felt beat up because it was less than what we've done the previous years. Now, going into 2024, everybody came with the right attitude, which is we're going to do 10 times better. We learned rather than got beat up. Like Tyler would say it all the time. Like, for us failing countlessly in 2023, what that did was it just made us more mentally tougher. Like it built thicker skin. because 2023 was by far the hardest year from a business perspective I've ever been through.
We got our ass whooped.
What? And I've been in this for now 5 years, so it's not that long.
Yeah, no, I can tell you, we got our ass whooped.
Yeah, but you have to remember, during my 5 years, 3 of those years were complete bull runs. Like
Right.
everything was selling,
Yes.
crypto was pumping.
Yes.
Anything I put my money into, it would 10x. And in 2020,
It was easy. It became easy.
It was easy. We worked hard, but it was pretty easy. And then we got completely whooped in 2023. So then Tyler and I were just sitting down the other day. We were just talking about it. We were just like, bro, if this didn't happen now and it happened later, we probably would have been more distraught because we were getting too spoiled. The market was very good. And because we went through that correction and things went the way it did, it made us stronger mentally. And it was better that it happened now rather than later.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that. I did go into the new year at first, just for like this first hour, I couldn't even sleep. I was actually pissed off. I know. The contrast between me and you are a little bit different.
It's okay.
You're more mature in that sense.
Yeah.
But for the first hour, I was very upset. I'm like, bro, I could have done 10 times better. Even though I consistently work 12 hours a day for 6-7 days per week.
Yeah.
I was like, I could have taken that 12 to 14. There's that feeling behind it. But I just knew those were just lies that come from the negative part of the brain that I didn't need to feed myself. So then I quickly got over that, and then I did resort to gratitude. But for you, it seems like it's more gratitude than anything else. And that time difference, I'm finding that. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
you're also, how old are you now?
23.
Yeah, man, I'm 42. I'm fucking 2 years your senior. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
2 years, 20 years. Sorry. I
know
wish it
you
was 2 years, bro. I look like, I think. That just takes some time. But I think you're doing the right thing because you're hanging out with people who are already living like that even through osmosis. Yeah, it can happen in a conversation like this, but if it's almost like people who are watching right now too, right? Like, we'll probably inspire them, but if you don't continue it, then the rest of Friday afternoon's gonna happen, right? And then Saturday morning, and then you kind of get back into the same groove, which is not a good thing if you're living in negativity. What you really need to do, I think, from a foundational perspective, is fix that. You know, Gary Vee says something great that I'm going to steal from him. He says, don't worry about fixing the plumbing, fix the well. Right? Well, everybody always wants to fix the pipes, but something maybe, like, literally, it might be in the well, like where the water's coming from. And to translate that to what we're speaking about, it can't just be willy-nilly, like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be grateful today. Or, you know what, I'm going to listen to maybe a podcast today and get motivated. You know, motivation is something that is recommended daily.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe you have to fix the well in terms of the foundation of who you're hanging out with. Who are and what are you listening to on a daily basis? Like, a small change, like while you're driving, man, is like, listen to an audiobook. Yeah. Listen to a podcast. Like, you might be doing that right now, right? Yeah. And not to say you should never listen to music or anything of that sort, but maybe like 5 days a week. Like, that could change, you know, and slowly start to kind of move the needle. But let's get into some of the stories, buddy. I like where we went today. You tell me where you want to start. I could care less. Like,
what makes a good salesperson?
Right there?
Well, we were talking about appointments.
Love it. Okay. So it's page 21 for me. You got it up on your computer as well, Luke?
Yeah.
Okay. 21. Bear with me here. I like this one. You actually were asking me off air for a second, like, what's the stuff I like talking about?
Can I ask you that right now?
100%.
Yeah, so off air.
Here's yours too, man. There's 2 of them in here.
Okay,
I knew our girl Mel. Shout out to Mel, MD, always setting up, making sure that
What's the D? What's her last name?
Duong.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Yeah, MD, man. Bear with me here. I just want to make sure. If you are watching live, wherever you are, don't I know we're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch as well. Just throw your comments, good, bad, the ugly. We're big boys. I know Luke mentioned his age, but he can handle the constructive criticism. He has a lot of thick skin. So this was actually on Forbes, I believe, this article. What makes a good salesperson? Uncovering the qualities of successful salespeople. Some key qualities, and maybe we'll just kind of, I'll go through some of these, Luke, and then we'll circle back and talk about them. So some of the most successful people have strong communication skills, practice active listening. That's something that we should definitely talk about. Adaptability and resilience in sales success. I don't know if we have this article up. Do we, Clyde? We actually do have the article up. Awesome. I see it. Awesome. Page 21. I'm actually on to page 22. Empathy and emotional intelligence. That's a friggin' huge one. Goal-oriented and self-motivated. Let's go through them. I think they have like 12, 13 of these. Prospecting and lead generation. It's a little further down, which I think it needs to be a little further up. Qualifying leads and needs assessment, presentation and handling objections, and then closing the deal and follow-up. Where do you want to start, man? What do you think the most important quality is from the ones that we mentioned?
I don't think it listed it here, but I think something I'm speaking for myself and what I've seen for other salespeople around me. I think networking. If you know how to build relationships with people and if you know how to nurture your network, I think it's very hard to fail as a salesperson.
Well, and just to that point that you're saying that, and I want to circle back to you as well. I think that goes into the prospecting and lead generation.
It probably falls under that category. Yeah.
Right? When you're talking about networking, I think what a lot of people think it is exclusively is like going out to like events and stuff like that. Is that what you were talking about?
I'm talking about more like building a relationship specifically targeted to a person as if it's the only person you know. And
elaborate on that.
I'll explain to you. So there's this I see the kid. He's 21 years old now, so I guess you can call him a kid, 21 years old. He's a few years younger than me. He got licensed maybe 2 years ago, and he's been now in the business for a few years. Good kid. He's probably watching this. He likes to watch your content, see most of his content. And I never noticed it, but he would keep DMing me on Instagram. But I don't have the app on my phone, so I don't see it all the time. I'm not watching it. I'll check it once every 2 days kind of thing, right? On my browser, not even on the app. But this kid would always be complimenting me very politely. Hey, bro, you look fly today on that story. I like your cigar. What cigar do you... he's trying to poke at certain things that I like, but he's not annoying about it.
Okay.
And then over time, he was just like, hey, I have this opportunity, for us to potentially do business together. I have a large database. I don't know how to do deals myself. I'm brand new. Maybe we can partner together. I said, all right, come by for a cigar since you like cigars so much. And he kept building relationships on cigars. Like, that was his mediator between us two. I'm like, okay, cool. I come in, and the guy ended up being a cool kid. And now we do a little bit of deals together. Nothing crazy. But he got his first deals under his belt by working with me. But he got in touch with me by relating to me about cigars on Instagram. So I don't know if it was his intentions to do deals that way, but he just connected with me through cigars.
So it's funny that you're talking about Instagram and social media from a networking perspective, because that's what I was talking about earlier when I mentioned that most people think exclusively it's like going out and meeting people, which is definitely a fantastic strategy. And if you have a lot of time, you should do that. But you should also, in my opinion, network online, right? Like, you can actually network online a lot quicker, a lot easier, and I don't like to sometimes use that word easier because I feel like it's a cop-out, or people think, okay, it's the easy way. There's fucking work involved in that, putting out content and then networking and engaging with people. And also, even if you're not at a place right now to put out content, a way to network with people online is go into the Facebook groups and not like spammy, like, hey, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a mortgage professional, I sell phones or whatever it is, and like just start selling stuff. That's weird. Like, you wouldn't do that in a live networking event. You wouldn't just go and start handing out your business cards. Like, you're not going to connect with anybody by doing that, right? But imagine if you can go also into other people's videos. You don't even have to go into their Facebook, like what he was doing with you. Like, I love what he did, right? Like, he was going in there and just commenting on your stories, your posts, all that kind of stuff, which then he comes onto your radar, right? He never had to leave his home. He probably was doing it in his PJs, and he was able to connect with you. So you don't have to do it that old school way of going out and meeting people at all times. Like there's other ways also of doing it.
Yeah, completely. I like that. I think if you remember when I first did my first ever deal ever, you actually facilitated it with me at Dylan Condos.
Dylan Condos?
Remember
that, like your own personal
my
deal?
own personal deal.
Yes.
You remember that one?
Yes.
The source. I mean, he's a realtor now, Nico.
Oh, okay.
Remember the client that bought?
Yes.
He's a realtor now.
Yeah. So you're talking about Nico?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Great
Shout out to Nico. Yes.
Same thing.
I don't want to...
The networking's part.
Okay, good. Like he actually he was looking into Dylan Condos or something. I'm trying to...
Before he was a
Perfect.
realtor.
Like it. Yeah.
And then he came, he's like, I called him on the phone because I was just trying to book appointments for myself. And he goes, hey, you sound like you're a young guy. Do you want to hang out? He just wanted to hang out. And I was like, bro, I'm brand new to this. Sure. I'll meet anybody just to meet people. And then he goes, and then I go to him. I'm like, you smoke cigars by any chance? Like, I just started like a year ago. And he's like, no, I haven't. And then boom, that's how we connected. And then he ended up, like, fast forward 3-4 months later, he bought a property off of us.
Amazing.
My first deal.
Okay, so networking, you said for sure. Let's talk about a couple of the things that they actually spoke about in this article, which closing the deal and follow-up. Talk about follow-up, man. Like, what's your thoughts on follow-up? I obviously have my own thoughts on that as well.
Okay, 2021, there was a project that sold out extremely quick. Moto 51. That was the first phase of Moto.
Bowmanville, east side of the GTA.
Exactly.
Okay.
Got in ground level, 800 per square foot, whatever it was. It was good prices at the time. Fast forward, they had a second project that got launched. And I saw the hype. So I wanted to launch that project to my own database, not just sell it to your network of investors. So I did launch it to my own database. And I sent it to about 110 investors. Not a single one of them gave me the time of day. I kept making phone calls. That project, for 110 investors, I made 17 rounds of phone calls. I sent out 8 emails and 8 text messages. So that's well over 30 touches in one project. But I saw the first hype. I thought maybe I can gain traction on the second go around because I'm new in this business. This was back in 2021. I kept going. My very last round, it was the 17th round, legit 17 rounds of phone calls across 110 investors. The last person that picked up the phone call booked an appointment. The next day came and met me. Same day bought a unit.
Yeah. Look,
That's how I feel about follow-up.
I was there when you were doing that. I see you follow up. I always get the question of, like, how do you get podcast guests like the ones that you've got, like the Patrick Bet-Davids, the Gary V's, the Grant Cardones, Robert Kiyosaki, all of them. And that is a shameless plug in terms of, if you haven't yet, because you're new to the community, either on the audio platforms or on any of the video platforms, go back. Like, I think this is episode 240 or something like that. Maybe I'm off. Like, go back and listen to all those. I get the question, how'd you get all those people? Do you know every single one of the names I just mentioned? It took me like about a year and a half of follow-up. Right? And not emailing them or calling them or texting them every week even, but just little touches like, hey, I'm just here. Like, I'm not sure if you got my last email. I'm hoping to, do a podcast with you. But being resilient, like, that's one of the other points that was made in this article of successful salespeople.
100%.
That is really what this business is about. What the business, and not the real estate business, I'm talking about the sales business. If you can become a machine in following up with people in a very professional and polite tone, not scammy and pushy, you will have guaranteed success. In fact, I don't even think I've ever told this story. I got into the real estate business, like what really pushed me over the hunch when I was 23 years old. I was selling cars for 3 years. I sold cars to, I'm thinking about, it all kind of fits, right? Law of vibration, everything that we're talking about. I'm thinking about getting into real estate. And then in a 30-day period, Luke, I sold 4 cars to real estate agents. 3 of them, brother. Okay, that's the law of vibration at work, by the way.
Right.
Thinking about it, same month, within a couple of months, like max, 4 cars to real estate agents. So I'm looking at their credit application. I'm like, holy shit, okay, this is one of the reasons I want to get in. Like, this is good. You know, you're 23 years old, the same way when you started at 19. You think it's a lot easier than it really is. However, 3 out of the 4 people, man, English was probably like their third language.
Third language.
You know what I realized about them when I was talking to them?
Let's hear it.
You know why they were so good? It's because they just followed up.
Yeah.
Like, even till this day, if I search them up, I don't think they put any content out on social media.
Nothing.
Okay? They're like old school guys. They're probably now like, back then, they were probably about 40 years old. So they have to be like 60 now. Amazing guys, great guys, fantastic people. They helped me out as well. Gave me the boost. They weren't.
You still know them until now?
Like we don't really connect. One of them I do. Like I've seen them at like mutual like parties and stuff like that. Amazing guys. Okay.
But it's more casual.
More casual. Yeah. Anyways, the moral of the story is that they were selling. I'm talking about like back in those days. They were doing like probably 30, 40 homes a year, 50 homes a year. All 4 of them. Okay. But those 3 that were English was a bare minimum like their second language for sure. What they did is, man, they just met people, and then it doesn't stop there. We started with networking because that's the first place that you get to meet people. But if you're not staying in touch with people, they're gonna forget about you.
Right.
They're not walking around with your business card stapled on their head, right? And so it is the follow-up through emails, today text messages. A lot of salespeople don't understand that social media is not just for you putting out just listed or look at the awards I won. It's actually a form of follow-up. Because when someone in your network is scrolling and they see your name, even if they don't like your photo, don't like your video, don't comment on it, don't share it, don't save it, them just seeing it subconsciously reminds them that you're in the business.
Right.
So it's a form of follow-up.
Right.
The best form of follow-up, though, the highest is, like you did the sign, phone calls. Yeah. Now, you can't call people every month and ask them if they want to buy, sell your product. Yeah. That's weird. That's not being polite and professional.
They're going to block you.
They're going to block you anyways. They're going to be like, every freaking day, dude, you're calling me? This is kind of odd. What you need to do is do it, in my opinion, once every like 3 to 4 months, and call with some type of value to the person, which means it's not about asking them to buy or sell, because that's valuable really to you.
Yeah.
So how about think of some ways that you can make a phone call to this person and add value to their life. You're smiling, and I love you.
I was going to give an example.
Go.
So the best way that we do it is through events. We host 1 event a month. We're going to host 11 events this year. So then
we've done a one already.
We've done already.
And just really quickly, like if you're someone that's wanting to know what's happening in the real estate market, not only in the GTA, but Canada wide, make sure you go check out my real estate company, REC Canada. Wherever, online, socials, whatever it is, we live stream our events, kind of similar to what we're doing today. But if you can come in person, it's only a seat for 60 people. It sells out every single time. We do a big brunch, like real food. Shout out to one of our clients, Tina, who puts it all together for us. Make sure you register. It's brunchwithrec.com, reccanada.com. You'll figure it out. Once a month, we're going to do the event.
So to your point about following up, you need a reason to touch these people. Because if you're just calling every single month saying, hey, do you want to list your house? People are going to block you. People are going to think you're weird. So we come with value. And what we do at REC Canada is we invite people to these brunches. It's like a networking event. It's educational. You can come learn from industry experts. We send an email to our database and network of investors, of 10, 11,000 investors. Here in the GTA, what are we at? 5,000, 6,000?
In terms of our investors?
Yeah.
No, excuse me. We have our REC insiders list now is north of 12,000. And I'm going to say 80% of that is in the GTA. So you're looking at about 8,000.
Yeah, so the venue that we host this event at can't even fit 80% of those people.
Yeah.
We just want 50, 60 people to come in and get to see us. For those that are
and they also network with each other, Lou.
Exactly, and they love it too, because they can kind of relate to other things that they've done in the business and investing and stuff like that. But what we do is we send an email invite to these investors, and then we make phone calls out to them, inviting them. But while we're touching them, the value is that you're invited to this free event with free breakfast, with free brunch and coffee, et cetera, also getting to meet industry experts. But then while we're on the phone with them, we asked them if they want to do what we call a real estate action plan, which is just a 20-minute conversation with a portfolio manager to go over what it is they're looking to accomplish.
And if the people who are watching and listening right now are thinking like, oh, does that shit even work? Coming back full circle to when we started, in case somebody just jumped on right now, we've booked the 247 of those real estate action plans in 27 days.
Yeah.
Freaking insane. We broke so many records. And the reason is we're not telling you to make these follow-up calls based on even the 4 years that Luke's been with me. This has been something that we've been nurturing for 20 years. Yeah. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, dude, that's going to take me 20 years. No, it doesn't. Like, we were getting not as good as results as I just mentioned for the last 27 days, but we've been getting results for the last decade. Like, if you just even do this for 2 years, you'll start to see the results pump out.
Yeah, completely.
I want to talk about one more thing from a salesperson's perspective, and then we'll jump to another story. Communication skills. What they talk about here is a good salesperson can improve communication skills by practicing active listening, studying body language, seeking feedback, and continually learning about effective communication strategies. Regular interaction with a variety of people can also help them adapt their communication style to suit different audiences. The reason I brought that up is because for me, one thing that they didn't really mention here is tonality.
Right.
And I want to get your thoughts on this as well. But I'm a big proponent of making sure that you're matching and mirroring how the other person on the phone or in person is acting. Meaning, if you're speaking to somebody who has a lot of energy, but you talk to them with your energy, if they're at an energy level at 85 out of 100, and you're speaking to them at an energy level of 14, that's not going to go well.
Like this, like an ASMR.
Exactly. Vice versa, if people are ASMRs and you're coming in with a lot of energy, you're probably going to lose them as well. Right? Now, what I've always learned to do, and very effectively, is bring up your energy or bring down your energy in the tonality as well as the body language to the person that you're speaking with.
So just match them.
Just match them. Now, at first, when you practice this, it might feel a little cringe or creepy or weird. You like the word cringe? That's what the kids call it. Like I heard my boys call it. Yeah, they do.
I wouldn't know. I'm old.
You're not.
I'm getting there.
Okay. To cringe?
No, to old.
Oh, got it. It feels weird at the start, but if you actually practice this, and I'm talking about like after the first 10 times, you'll get a lot more comfortable. But I can tell you what happens is that the person starts to feel, it's an invisible thing that starts to happen. They feel like you are getting to know them.
You want to switch topics. Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
This is an actual genuine question.
Sure.
Because I was blessed.
Got it.
When I joined this team, I was young. I met you when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I think I was just turning 20. I was able to do deals because I had credibility behind me.
Yeah.
But let's just say there's a 19-year-old salesperson out there that doesn't have the credibility backing them.
Yeah.
And they're young, they're baby faced, but they're speaking to a 45-year-old investor that has 3 doors under their portfolio. How do they work with that investor?
Well, I think you take one step backwards and make sure that you are resourceful and go get that credibility. What do I mean by that? Is as a 19-year-old, I think you should be with somebody who's been in the business for a little bit. Doesn't need to be 42 years old and in the business for 20 years, but I think that you should be working with a team. I personally believe that the best thing you can do, and there's differing opinions, and if you're live right now, throw them in there. If you're watching the recording, you can still throw it in the comments. I think when you're starting out, at any age, in the real estate business, you should be joining a team. Why? This is one of the, if not the biggest purchase that someone's going to make in their life.
Right.
A. B, as an investor, if you're working, with an investor, you're going to help them create a portfolio or even maybe just one property for the rest of their lives aside from their personal residence. If you don't know what you're talking about, you could lose a lot of people's money.
Right.
Or you can lose a lot of money of one person.
Right.
So go get that credibility by what exactly you did.
Right.
You joined the team that is known as, and I'm not trying to flex here, but one of the top teams in Toronto right across all franchises. We do a lot of income properties. We do a lot of investment properties. We do land development. We do pre-construction. We have an array. And the things that we don't know, i.e. an apartment building of 47 units, it's not something that we really do. We have the person's phone number in our phone that we can connect with one of the top teams in specifically with apartment buildings.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what comes up in the real estate world, we kind of know somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
But then you, as that 19-year-old, now through our network or that team members network or that team leaders network, you now have that credibility. So that's where I would start 100% of the time. I don't care what sales business you're in. In fact, I'm not just spewing shit. It's exactly what I did, man. Like real estate, 23 years old. Fuck, I didn't know my head from my ass. And I was completely scared. Like I was like, I don't want to screw this up.
Right.
I joined one of the guys that was in the business at that time for 22 years, I think. 22, 23 years. Simon, yeah. Became my partner, became my mentor, became my best friend, my third older brother, passed away tragically not too long ago. Most of the guys and gals know the story. And so, but I went straight to him. Rewind even further, bro. I got into the car business, selling cars. I wasn't the kid that had the Ferrari posters and Lamborghini posters on my wall in my room. I wasn't a car nut. Like even now, you know me for a while. I'm not really a car nut. I also didn't know the workings of a car. I also didn't know when you speak, I've been in sales before that, but not with a purchase that someone was making of $60,000, $50,000, $75,000. And it was older people. I'm a 19-year-old kid going into the car business. That brand, Acura, majority of people were like 35 and above ish. You know, there's the Integra, which obviously younger people bought, but I knew nothing about cars. You know what I did? I went to the top selling dealership in the country of Acuras. Shout out to Acura 2000, formerly Acura 2000, but Polycaro Acura now.
That was Polycaro.
That was the Polycaros.
Damn.
Right? Like that's how
one of the biggest names in the business.
100%.
Wow.
So that's where I got connected. And then I learned the business through somebody who was doing it at a very high level. My phone skills, where they come from is from CIBC telephone banking. Like I know where it comes from. The training they provided me, it wasn't a fucking 2-week training on the phones. Like it was like, I think over 2.5 months was the training.
Wow.
You couldn't speak to a customer. You weren't allowed to speak to a customer until you went through the 2.5 month training. And I'll still remember it. A gentleman from Halifax who was doing the training, when it was like now to get on the phones, I sat with him over and above the 2.5 months. I sat with him for like a good like 2 to 3 weeks listening to his calls. And that's where I got the confidence from. That's where I got the training from. And so to answer your question, brother, to get that credibility, go join somebody who already has it. So, because then through the extension of them, you now can speak to it.
Right.
And here's one thing I'll leave people with, and then we'll jump to another story. When someone asks you a question that you don't have the answer to, do not try to bullshit your way through it. Especially in 2024, because in the palm of the prospect, customer, client's hands, they can Google the fucking answer.
ChatGPT.
And ChatGPT it, sure. You shouldn't ChatGPT it either. Here's how you answer a question that you don't have the answer for. Mr. and Mrs. person who's asking me the question, so I don't misinform you, I'm going to go find out. I haven't seen that before. I haven't heard that before. That's it. Because if you're speaking to a normal human being on the other side, 99.99999% of people are going to say, well, thank you for not misinforming me.
Right.
Now, you, as the salesperson, have to go find out the answer. And you do that by asking people. It really, truly comes down to being resourceful. And you can be resourceful a lot easier by being accountable to yourself, right? And so, because then you're not going to blame anyone else, go find out the answer. I get questions, 20 years in the business, man, helping investors. I get questions all the time that I don't have the answers for. I always say, so I don't misinform you, let me go find out the answers. I know the people who know the people that know the people,
Right.
and then I go and get the answers. Make sense?
Right.
Okay, cool. Where do you want to jump to next, buddy? Let's go. Let me get my headlines here. Okay. Bank of Canada start cutting rates in July, as former deputy governor says. Another one is Toronto's mayor executive committee endorses the 10% speculation tax on foreign home buyers. 1 in every 5 Toronto area tenant households fell behind on rent in 2023, a significant rise over previous years. Ottawa's disinterest in entrepreneurship and business investment hurting economy. Where do you want to go? I'm good with, you want to go to, why don't we touch on this 10% speculation tax?
What is that even? You tell me.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get there right now.
It's my first time seeing this.
Is it? Okay, well, good thing. That is page, I might have the wrong page here. Let me just, bear with me here, guys. Okay, so, no. I see that it's supposed to be, oh, page 14. My bad. Page 14. So, our new mayor, Olivia Chow, with the Orange government. How do you feel about that, anyways? Start there.
I don't even know who this is.
Huh? Olivia Chow.
She doesn't pay my bills. So I
Yeah.
don't care.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because there's a lot of people who blame who the mayor is and who the prime minister and
Victims.
the president
They're
is.
victims.
That's a victim mentality. It's actually a loser's mentality, because you're putting the blame on someone else. Like, I'm here to say it. Like, if you are blaming who the fucking mayor is, or the prime minister, or the president for the lack of success you're having, that's a fucking loser's mentality. Period. Look, I know it might have something to do with, like the rates going up, and okay, I'm not doing as many sales, and that comes down from the government and all that shit. But at the end of the day, we know a lot of people that are having some of their best years. So if you're blaming now the prime minister, the president, or the mayor, like, there's nothing for me more to say than it's a loser's mentality.
Completely.
And I love that you said a victim mentality, because that also plays into the just a scarcity mentality, that there's not enough out there. Okay, so Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow's executive committee voted Tuesday in favor of creating a new municipal tax on foreign home buyers who purchase property in Toronto. If approved, so it's not fully approved yet, by the full council next month, the municipal non-resident speculation tax would make foreign nationals pay an additional 10% on the purchase price of residential property starting in January 2025. It's an issue that's been well debated by other levels of government, and the executive committee members today endorsed it without much debate, because it's been talked about for quite a few years, which is true. They've been talking about adding this for a while. Vancouver already has it. Vancouver already has it in place. Ontario's just, or Toronto specifically, if it's the mayor that's pushing this, it's the mayor of Toronto. It's a change that we should have made before. I'm glad that we're doing it. So one of the main reasons that they're going to want to add this is because their fear is that there's a lot of foreign home buyers, okay, that are kind of parking money here, or that are investors, right, and that this will open up more inventory. When you open up more inventory for the people who are living in the city, then the value comes down. It makes housing more affordable. There's more of something that brings the value down. Obviously, in Toronto, for really the last 20 years, we've had a massive shortage of inventory. Okay, it's just, you go through your little dips, but overall, I think everybody would agree there's a shortage. Okay? What they're trying to do by putting this new speculation tax, which would essentially cost foreign home, right now there's a ban. I should take a step back. Right now, currently, there's a ban on foreign home buyers. Right. It was for 2 years, came out in January. It was in effect of January 2023. It ends starting January 2025. Hence why they want to say, okay, we're going to open up the ban. Like there won't be a ban anymore.
But you're paying 10 points
But
more.
you're paying 10 points. So on an average, it's going to cost somebody, if you take an average single family home right now of about 1.1 million, it's $110,000. It's going to cost a foreign home buyer to buy a property here. Personally, I actually think it's a good idea. Because if it opens up more inventory for the people that are living here, that's a great idea. Like, you know, values will come down a little bit. You also then have the cost of borrowing coming down. Even from an investor's perspective here, they can get a little less rent. You know, every property, every area and every situation is obviously different. Here's why I don't think it's actually going to help, though. And the reason is because contrary to what everyone's believing, that we have a lot of foreign home buyers here, like either from India, the Middle East, China, it only really makes up approximately 2%. It's actually less than that, but let's just say round it up to 2% of the properties that are bought here. So it's not a lot. It's not a huge number. In fact, if we look at our last decade, so a good sample size, right? I'm not talking about the whole Toronto Real Estate Board, not all real estate in the country, just us at REC Canada. In the last decade, we've helped a little over 3,500 families, okay? Let me just make sure I did the math there right. That's just our core group. But in total, with our 60 agents, we do approximately 600 homes we help 600 families every single year. So we're at about 6,000 total, okay? In 10 years. Out of that 6,000, I think like maybe 2 people
We're outside of Canada.
were outside of Canada. Right. So it's not that huge of a number.
Right.
So I get why they're talking about it, but every time they bring some of these speculation taxes, i.e. even the Toronto tax that they said that they were only going to bring in, Toronto land transfer tax, they said they're only going to bring it in for a couple of years. It's been here. Be careful. Anytime the government adds a new tax, history has shown us it's not for the short period of time. Like, you know, income tax, like from the States, like in the States when they first originally came out with it, I think it was 1945. Give me a sec here. I want to see. I want to quickly search this. 1 second. When was income tax introduced in USA? Watch this. July 2nd, 1909.
1909.
No, that's not right, man. I've seen a different number. I think it was like 1940 or something. Bear with me here. So when did tax start in It started in Canada. It started in 1917.
1917.
Yeah. Okay, but when it was here, it is. There you go. 90%. No, this is 1944. So 1909, the government said it was only going to be brought in for a couple of years, just to spur the economy.
1949.
1909.
1909.
1909. The government brought it in just to say that it was going to be, we're just spurring the economy.
I bit my tongue there.
Exactly.
I bit my tongue.
Yeah. No, you don't need to. Go. What are you thinking?
Just like COVID.
Talk to me.
Couple of weeks, we're going to lock everything.
Right.
Same thing.
Right.
Same thing.
It's funny how that worked out. Okay. So anyway, speculation tax. In theory, I think it's a good idea. However, personally, I just don't think that it's going to have a massive effect in terms of what they want to do, which is make housing more affordable. There's one thing that's going to help housing affordability: more properties, more housing being built faster.
I was going to ask a question.
Yeah.
To the people that run this country: Chow, Ford, Trudeau.
Yeah. Well, Chow runs the city.
Instead of endorsing these 10% speculation taxes on foreign home buyers, why can't we just remove the red tape? Why can't we just build more homes?
Yep.
Why can't we just remove the red tape of kicking out a bad tenant? Remember, we talked about this the last podcast.
That was a couple of podcast episodes ago. Yeah.
Landlords are fearful of renting out their units to tenants because they fear that their tenant's not going to pay for 10 months and get away with it and nothing's going to happen to them. Therefore, there are less rental units on the market, or there are more landlords that are more picky when it comes to choosing a tenant. This is what causes up this pent up demand in the market.
And
all of this red tape.
And my personal opinion, brother, my personal opinion in terms of the red tape, the reason they don't do that is because not everyone's going to get their pockets lined. You get what I'm saying? Like meaning that's how money moves behind the scenes.
Yes, I get that. That's why I'm asking them directly.
Yeah, I know. But
show us Wagwan, you know?
Exactly. They're not going to do that shit. And that's what I think the major problem is, because we should be able to build shit quicker here.
Completely.
It takes 10 years, man, from an application to, some say for a shovel to go in the ground, okay? I've heard it's actually like application to when the building gets built, but it doesn't matter. The building being built is only like 2-3 years. Like when you notice a shovel goes on the ground, they build shit pretty quickly.
The point is it's too
and that's
long.
a condo.
Right.
But like a subdivision it's too long. It's way too long. And it's based on what people want to make. They want to make sure that everyone gets a little envelope along the way. That's the fucking problem.
Everyone's skimming off the top.
100%.
Otherwise,
why would it take so long?
The people that end up holding the tag
Is the end consumer.
is the end consumer,
Yeah.
Canadian citizens.
100%. Okay, let's go to one more story, buddy, because we've been going for a while. We spent a lot of time on mindset, but I like that stuff. Where do you want to go? What's the last story? You get to pick the last story. Go.
Why don't we don't talk about a story?
Okay, go. Talk to me.
Let me ask you what I want to ask you before the podcast.
Okay.
When you do these shows,
Yeah.
and you're talking to your guests, or you even you're talking by yourself, or whatever it may be. When do you get, and why do you get that feeling of, okay, this is why I do what I do. This is why I do the podcasting. This is why I like to speak to 3,000 people at a conference. This is why I like to help salespeople and business owners. What triggers that feeling in your gut?
For me, it's telling the stories of, and also hearing the stories of people's failures, which I know then help them succeed. So it's like going through that journey with somebody when I'm having a conversation, going through that journey of either telling one of my stories or hearing one of the stories. That's kind of in and around the success in business and sales. Because that's the one thing when we talk about sales, I could probably go on live, and I've done marathons of webinars for 12 hours straight. Like recorded. 12 hours straight, camera on me, gone. Like you were there. Then I did 5 hours a little while ago. Both of them were about investing. Don't get me wrong. I love the investing stuff. I like building my own portfolio within real estate, helping other people. I actually think I could probably go, and maybe this is just a thought I'm having because of the question you asked, so I appreciate the question. Like, I think I can go for like fucking 24 hours talking about sales because it's all I've ever done. Right? So for me, it's when I go on stage, I don't have a PowerPoint.
You're just off the top.
Well, what I generally do is I ask the question at the start, like, how many years have you been in the business? So if it's 5 years or more, put up your hand.
Right.
So then I quickly know, okay, half the room, just for easy math right now, is 5 years or more, and the other half is 5 years or less. I know how to speak to the 5 years and less. I know how to speak to the 5 years and more. I don't need a PowerPoint.
Right.
I don't need notes. Like, I don't have any notes.
Yeah.
Before I'm going on, the only thing I'm thinking about is my actual physical energy that I'm bringing.
Right.
I just need to make sure that I'm tapped into that,
Yeah.
which is easy for me anyways, because it's not made up. None of that shit is made up, right? And then I feed off the people there. So to answer your question fully, Luker, it's really talking about sales strategies, mindset. Like, we didn't have this plan today. We had actually fucking stories planned and articles.
Yeah, most of the conversation was about gratitude and all these things.
Gratitude, about the mindset, because everything becomes easier, in my opinion,
When you have this right.
When you have this right? Because it's you said something earlier about having thick skin. So you'll do content and put yourself on video if you have thick skin, because it's not going to bother you when someone says something negative, right? It's just not. Like, there was a post, I don't even know, can I share this with you, Collider? 1 second here, buddy. Can you actually go on my Instagram for a second? Because I can't get on it here. And this is talking about thick skin, okay? And I get this all the time, and I get even way worse than this. I get like racist comments. I get people making fun of me, all that kind of shit. And I just put up a video a couple of days ago, and the community came out at large. When I say community, my fans, my family, my friends, clients, all that shit. Go to my profile. Go scroll down. Go back right there. The one with the black screen, and I made sure that I got rid of the guy's name. I didn't want to call him out in that sense. It's the one right beside the New York picture, black background. It's a green screen, right? Yeah. Which one? To the left, right. That one. That one. Can you play it? Will it play? I don't know if the audio's working or not. So, anyways. If you can't hear the audio, you can see the captions. And are people seeing this on the live as well? Does it show up?
What's it talking about?
I'm gonna mention that. No? Okay, so anyways, we're gonna figure that out. But I did this video, Luker, the one that you see, okay? And if you're driving right now, when you get a chance, go over to my Instagram, scroll down. It's gonna be like somewhere, I don't know, maybe in the 13th, 14th, depending on when you see it. The guy leaves me a comment on another platform like, you're a stupid Punjabi guy who's just made some money. You guys are all desperate, money hungry, greedy people. Okay? So I did this video over, like, it's so funny. Someone on our team asked me, they're like, why are you, what was your initial reaction? No exaggeration, bro. I smiled to myself. And I said to myself, shit, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. Why? Because I would never go and put a negative comment on someone's video. It's just not who I am. I don't go there. I don't think about it. If I'm going to put any comment, it's going to be one of a positive nature.
It's a waste of time.
So I wouldn't do it. So that's originally what the first, like my initial reaction was. Then my next reaction was like, fuck, I wonder what this guy's going through in his life. And I proved it because on the video, like, I made sure you don't see this guy's name. And there's a comment somewhere on one of the platforms that I put this on. Someone even said, like, what's his name? And, like, why did you block it out? Because I'm like, I'm not putting anybody on blast. This guy's already going through something. What am I going to put his name? I know what my community would do. They would private message this guy.
Just tear him apart.
Tear him apart.
Yeah.
Tear him apart. I didn't need him. That's not why I did this video.
That's good.
The video is speaking about that and understanding that hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
It's like, you ever heard the saying, misery loves company? Right? Like, if you're a complainer, for example, do you know who likes that shit?
Complainers.
Boom. Because we're all like, fuck, Bo, you're having a bad day, so am I. But you know what? Let me tell you, my day's worse than you. And then we get into this fucking thing about, my life is worse than your life.
Yeah.
And it becomes a competition.
Right. And then they're both right.
They're both right. So this video was just reminding people that in what I'm saying was, look, hurt people. And if you stop doing content or you stop putting yourself out there, you stop making phone calls because you get rejection, then someone like this wins. Right? What I'm really wanting to say, bringing it full circle for our conversation, is the fact that the reason I was able to deal with this is because I have thick skin.
Right.
Look, I used to have a turban when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
All the way up until 14, okay? And not the turban that most people would think of when as a Sikh adult. It's like one as a kid, right? And it's like kind of...
Is it smaller?
It's a smaller turban, okay? It's not like a turban where you would actually wrap around your head. But as a kid, people used to make fun of me, and in so many different ways. They used to want to use it as an ashtray for a cigarette.
Wow. That's just disrespectful.
Right? But, you know, my kids can be fucking mean, bro. Like, that's just how it is, right? And especially back then, like, where I was probably in my high school of... sorry, not my high school, my middle school of, I'm going to guess, like, you know, 400 or 500 people, 600 people maybe in my middle school. I was 3 Indian people out of the 600.
Wow.
Like, it's not like what it is now. And when you get that, and when you get made fun of and those kind of derogatory, I think that's the word, comments, like in real life as a fucking kid, you get thick skin. Like,
Yeah, real quick.
This shit just doesn't even register anymore. And so I haven't figured out how you can get thick skin or someone can yet, but I think one of the best things to do is to make sure that you understand that when someone is coming at you with some hurt, it's because they're hurt.
Yeah.
It's something else is going on in their life. So I don't even know how we got to that, brother. Did you have fun today?
One thing that you said that caught my attention, you said that when you do this, when you do these conversations, one thing that you like a lot is when you can see the success story behind some of these people, where they came from and where they are. I want you to go deep one day. I challenge you.
Okay.
I want to challenge you to go deep one day on the failures that you went through in the past. And you know what I'm talking about.
100%. 100%.
One day, I pray that you'll get there where you'll just open up everything. That's a
100%.
challenge.
I love that,
From a
Clyde.
friend to a friend, that's a challenge.
You have the light.
Which one?
Someone brought a question up.
Is it a Twitch or?
Put it up. You can watch it wherever you want them.
Can you? What's the question?
How did you prospect when you started cold calling, door knocking?
Subscribe here. Okay, so the first thing that I would do, I see it right now. How did you start? How did you prospect when you started cold calling, door knocking, etc.? Real estate. So the first thing that you need to do is prospect through the people that are already on your phone. Like that's the number one place to start. Foundational. I mean, we have an academy. We could have named it Purple Cow Academy. We call it From the Ground Up for a reason, because in the sales business, where you want to start is making sure that the network, and Luke and I mentioned a lot, so if you just joined us, make sure you go back to the starting and talking about networking. Right now, most people are in this device of yours, either in your phone book, your text messages, your email inbox, or on your social media platforms. What you want to do, because they're in so many different places, you want to bring them into one central place. That is called, it's a sexy word, CRM, customer relationship management. At the end of the day, it's a software. It's like an Excel sheet with everyone's name, phone number, and email. One central place. It makes it a lot easier for you. Then prospect through them. Prospect to them, because they and you probably have 200 people. Like, I know you're thinking, Jas, I only got 47 people in my phone. But remember, your emails, your text messages, and your social media, it's probably about 200 people. But here's the thing. If you Google it right now, the average person knows 200 people. So you just grew your network to 40,000 people. 200 people that know 200 people that know 200 people. And at the end of the day, from what I got here in your comment, you're in real estate. You don't need all 40,000 people. You don't even need to do 200 deals. I have a funny feeling, whatever market you're in North America, if you did 50 deals, you're in the top 1%. For sure in the top 2% of our industry. So start there. I know cold calling and door knocking and sending out flyers is something that you feel like you need to get started with because so many people talk about it, but that's not where to start. And I know why you want to start there as well, because those are the people that don't know you. So when they say no to you, it's not a hit on your ego. Yeah. When you reach out to people that you know and they say no, that feels like, oh my God, like it's real rejection. But here's what I'm going to do when you call people in your phone, in your email, in your social media. You're going to call them and say, hey, Clyde, I just wanted to make sure that you're okay to give me your opinion on some of the marketing I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be sending out some emails, inviting you to some events, and putting out content on social media. I just want to get your opinion. You're okay with that? Side note, 99% of people, human beings, love giving your opinion. What's your opinion on this live right now? What's your opinion on the restaurant that you ate at? What's your opinion on the movie that you went to go see yesterday? So starting there, by far, when I took all the cars I sold from at the age of 19 to 22, it took all those people, I put them into a CRM when I started real estate, added all my friends and family, and called with that exact same script. Just giving you a call, Clyde, to see if you're willing to give me your opinion on some of the marketing that I'm going to be doing. I'm in the real estate business. I'm not calling you to ask you to buy or sell. right away, you're going to throw the person off on the other end in a positive way because they'll be like, oh, thank you for not asking me if I'm buying or selling real estate. So prospect, starting out with your warm leads. We make phone calls all day long, not cold calling. We call it warm calling. You want to add something to that?
I couldn't. The only thing I would say is the more of it that you do, the better.
Yeah.
Right. That's how we started. We're doing it now. We do it now. So whenever a new year starts, especially, we just go on a complete blitz. We want to start it off right. So we're doing all these events. We're reaching all these people first by providing value, asking for their opinion on things, having them sit down, and have a coffee with us. But we do it at a much larger scale. You got to do it at a large scale, but by yourself. So we do, let's say, between our 4, full-time callers, right? What's the math on that?
How many calls?
How many calls would they make in a day?
Well, so they're each doing, because our guys are doing 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, but each of them are doing 30 to 40 calls a day.
So for the 3 guys.
Times 2.
And then
times 3, I apologize. So call it anywhere from about 90 to 120 calls a day. Just those 3.
Those 3. Plus we have Nehal.
Plus we have Nehal. Shout out to Nehal. He's doing it all day long. He's probably closer to about 70 calls a day. That doesn't mean he connects with all those people, by the way. Yeah. Your connection rate's going to be 30%, but keep going.
Those guys, collectively, we're going to be doing 200 plus calls a day. You just got to do 30. Forget 30. You just got to do 5 consistently every single day. So get into the habit of doing it every single day, because then the 5 is going to turn to 10, the 10 to 20, and then that's how you get to that consistent 50 mark, which is really more than enough to make 200, 300 grand in this business.
All right, guys, if you want more information on getting trained and getting coached, go to ftguacademy.com. If you're somebody who wants to know a little bit more about investing into real estate, go to reccanada.com. Actually, the best thing to do, let me rephrase all of that because I completely forgot with all the stuff that's going on in our lives and with the team and all that kind of stuff. Where you need to go is just go to meetjastakhar.com. MEET, jastakhar.com. You'll get information on my coaching company. You'll get information on REC Canada. Most importantly, there's tons of free value and resources. Take all of our information, make use of it, and then if you want to learn more, you know where to catch us. To everybody who was watching live on Twitch or YouTube, I appreciate your time. Luker, I appreciate your time. If you're watching the recording or listening on your favorite podcast platform, do me a favor, make sure you share it with one person. The truth of the matter is nothing in life is free, and you actually didn't pay for any of this, but you took your time. Now, what I do ask for in return, if it was valuable, only if it was valuable, for you to share it with one person. Share the podcast, Jas Takhar podcast, either audio or video, with one friend or a colleague or neighbor or family, whatever you choose, just one person. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time we do the live, which we're trying to do a couple of times a week, but we'll see how that goes. Love you guys. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
If you found that episode valuable and you want to watch more of the Jas Takhar podcast, click here. If you want to see more videos in general, click here.